Hi Reds, welcome back to another massive Manchester United update. We are now getting incredibly close to the opening fixture of the 2026 to 2027 season, with Manchester United preparing to face Hull City at the MKM Stadium on Saturday. After weeks of intense pre-season preparation under Michael Carrick, the real business is finally about to begin. There is already plenty of excitement around this Manchester United squad, but at the same time, there are several important injury and fitness concerns that could have a major impact on Carrick's starting 11. With the new Premier League campaign just around the corner, United need their key players fit, sharp, and ready to go. So, Reds, let's take a close look at the latest injury situation surrounding Lisandro Martinez, Matthijs de Ligt, Mason Mount and Benjamin Šeško, before moving on to some seriously interesting transfer developments involving Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba and Monaco midfielder Lamine Camara. Let's begin with one of the biggest positives. Lisandro Martinez is back in training. The Argentine centre-back has successfully returned to first-team grass sessions after recovering from the thigh injury that disrupted his World Cup campaign with Argentina. His return is particularly encouraging because Martinez is such an important player for Manchester United, not only because of his defensive quality, but also because of his leadership, aggression, and ability to play out from the back. Martinez has already been involved in Manchester United's recent pre-season work in Ireland, although Michael Carrick and his coaching staff have understandably been careful with his workload. Now we move to Matthijs de Ligt, and unfortunately, the Dutch international is not expected to feature in the opening fixture. De Ligt has been sidelined for a very long period following major back surgery. He has been out since November 2025 and also missed the World Cup as he continued his recovery from the persistent problem. However, there is still some very encouraging news. De Ligt has recently returned to light first-team grass training and has also travelled with the squad during the team's Ireland preparations. That represents another important step in his recovery. But Reds, let's be realistic here. Coming back to grass training is completely different from being ready for competitive Premier League football. Next up is Mason Mount, and this one is slightly more complicated. Mount picked up a foot injury during Manchester United's pre-season friendly against Paris Saint-Germain in Gothenburg. He was forced off after around 20 minutes, with the initial reaction suggesting that the substitution was more precautionary than anything seriously concerning. However, Mount subsequently missed the final two warm-up fixtures against Leeds United and AC Milan. That immediately raises questions about whether he will be ready for the Hull City match. The positive side is that Mount was reportedly able to walk normally after the PSG game and did not appear to be suffering from a serious problem. But missing the final stages of pre-season is never ideal for a player trying to start the season at full speed. Then we have Benjamin Šeško. The Slovenian striker is another player who is expected to miss the opening fixture because of his lingering shin problem. Šeško's situation is particularly frustrating because Manchester United were hoping that he could get at least some minutes during the final stages of pre-season. However, he did not feature in any of the 6 summer warm-up fixtures. There is some good news though. Šeško has recently returned to grass training with his teammates in Ireland, which indicates that his recovery is progressing. But once again, match fitness is the major issue. Training is one thing. Playing competitive football is another. If Šeško has not played a single pre-season minute, throwing him straight into a Premier League match would be a massive gamble. Carrick is therefore likely to take a cautious approach and gradually build Šeško back into the squad, and this could mean Bryan Mbeumo takes responsibility for leading the line against Hull City. Now, Reds, let's move from injuries to transfers, because things are getting seriously interesting behind the scenes. The summer transfer window is entering its final stages, and Manchester United are still looking at ways to strengthen the squad. Michael Carrick has already seen major changes to his midfield, but it appears the club are not completely satisfied yet. One of the names attracting serious attention is Crystal Palace midfielder Adam Wharton. Manchester United are keeping close tabs on Wharton as they continue looking for another player capable of strengthening the deeper midfield position. Wharton is reportedly high on Carrick's shortlist, particularly as United look to improve their control, defensive protection, and ability to build attacks from deeper areas. United already have new midfield additions such as Andre Santos and Yuri Tielemans, but the possibility of adding another midfielder suggests Carrick and the recruitment team want serious competition for places. And honestly, Reds, competition is exactly what Manchester United need. For too many seasons, United have struggled whenever key midfielders were unavailable. Having multiple high-quality options would give Carrick the ability to change his system depending on the opponent. But Adam Wharton would not be an easy signing. Crystal Palace are in a strong position, and any negotiation would have to involve a significant fee. The question is simple. Is Wharton the right midfielder for Manchester United, or should the club focus its resources elsewhere? Massive Carlos Baleba boost. Now, let's talk about Carlos Baleba because this story could become one of the biggest transfer sagas of the final days of the window. Manchester United have monitored Baleba for a long time, and there is now reported optimism that Brighton could consider offers in the region of £60 million to £65 million. That would be a significant development considering the midfielder had previously been valued at around £100 million. According to reports from the Daily Mail Sport, Newcastle United have also entered the race for the 22-year-old. But here's the key question, Reds. If Manchester United really have an opportunity to sign Baleba for around £60 million to £65 million, should they go all in? Personally, I believe this is exactly the type of decision Manchester United's recruitment team needs to get right. Baleba has the physical presence, energy and ball-winning ability that could give United's midfield a completely different dimension. He can cover ground, compete physically and help the team win possession higher up the pitch. However, spending £60 million plus on another midfielder would still need to make sense financially, particularly after United have already invested heavily in the squad. Would Baleba be worth £65 million, or should United walk away if Brighton demand more? And perhaps the biggest question of all, if Manchester United and Newcastle both make serious approaches, which club would Baleba choose? That could become fascinating to watch. Lamine Camara, another midfield option? And finally, there is another midfielder reportedly attracting Manchester United's attention. Monaco star Lamine Camara. Manchester United have reportedly been informed that it would take more than £51 million to sign the midfielder. Liverpool are also said to be interested, meaning United could potentially face another Premier League battle for his signature. Camara is another name that demonstrates just how much Manchester United are prioritising midfield recruitment. And from my point of view, that makes sense. After the changes to the squad and the injury problems United have experienced in midfield, Carrick needs enough quality and depth to compete across an entire Premier League season. But United cannot sign everyone. Wharton, Baleba, Camara. These are three different midfield options, and the club will have to decide which player best fits the tactical vision. For me, the most important thing is not simply signing a big name. Manchester United need the right profile. They need players who can run, press, defend, progress the ball and handle the intensity of Premier League football. Final thoughts, Reds. So there you have it. Manchester United are approaching the first competitive fixture of the 2026-27 campaign with a mixture of positive injury news, some frustrating setbacks and plenty of transfer drama. Lisandro Martinez is back in first-team training and could potentially be involved against Hull City. Matthijs de Ligt is progressing but is not expected to be ready for the opener after his long injury absence. Mason Mount is facing a race against time after his foot problem. Benjamin Šeško is also expected to miss out, as Manchester United continue to manage his return carefully. But while Carrick prepares his team for the opening fixture, the recruitment department is still working behind the scenes. Adam Wharton remains on the radar. Carlos Baleba could potentially become available for a significantly lower fee than previously expected. And Lamine Camara is another midfield option attracting interest, with Manchester United reportedly facing competition from Liverpool. This is exactly why the final days of the transfer window could be absolutely explosive. Reds, I want to hear your opinions. Who should start at centre-back against Hull City? Martinez, Maguire or Euro? Should Manchester United take the risk and sign Carlos Baleba for around £60 to £65 million? Would you rather have Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba or Lamine Camara? And do you think Benjamin Šeško can become Manchester United's main striker once he is fully fit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.